everyone. Today I'm going to give a little tutorial on how I prep my wool projects. I've received some emails from students and also from friends who have picked up their first wool project, and now they are ready for the prepping, and I do it a little differently than some. My friend Sue Spargo, she does not use fusible, and it gives more dimension to her projects, but I really like fusible because I travel a lot, and some of my projects just have so many pieces to them, and I don't want to lose a leaf on an airplane or in an airport or dig around in the car. So I am a die-hard fusible. Now the projects that I do are from small to big, and I use it with all of them. The products that I use on my projects are SF101. It's a Pellin product. It is a fabric that has a fusible on one side, and you can feel it because it feels rough, and the other side feels smooth like regular fabric would do. The other is this soft fuse. Now I order it by the roll. One of my local quilt shops started carrying it. I know the Stitching Post has it, and I think so many quilts, but if your shop does not carry it, you can order it off of Amazon. It does come in 8x10 sheets or in a roll, and I just buy the roll because I know I'm going to use a lot of it. And with big projects, it's just nice to be able to cut off a big chunk. I don't waste it though, so I save the little pieces that I am not using because I could do a leaf on it or some other small motif. I'm going to show you with one of Stacy West's from Buttermilk Basin, one of her small projects, because my friend Bonnie in Santa Barbara ordered one of her little mats, and I thought this would be the perfect project to show you on. I ordered the kit. So in that kit I got the pattern and all the wool that I would need for this project. When you're doing a wool project, you're going to take that pattern out, and one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to look at how it is printed, because you're going to have to trace it in reverse if you want it to look like this pattern. So if you notice on these two sheets of paper, the truck is facing to my left, but on the pattern it is facing to my right, which means that this designer already reversed it for you, so you'll be able to trace it as it sits. Now some people don't reverse their designs, and so the truck will be facing the same direction, and if you trace it, it isn't like a make or break situation, but it means that your project will be facing the opposite of the photograph, which tends to bug me. So I always trace my patterns so it's going to look exactly like the colored picture. There are two ways to trace a pattern onto your soft fuse. One is to place it on a light box and then place your soft fuse over the top, and you can just see it right through the soft fuse, and then just trace it with a pencil. Or you can tape it to a window if you don't have a light box and trace it through the soft fuse so that you can see the lines on your pattern from the light through the window. If your pattern is not reversed, and what I mean by that again is that this truck is not facing the opposite direction of the pattern piece. So we have the truck facing my left, the pattern's facing my right. If this pattern, the truck also faced my left, then you would want to put it backwards on your light box or on the window and trace through the back of the paper pattern. and then you'll get the correct formation of the pieces. So next, what I do, now that I've traced all of my pieces onto a piece of soft fuse, and see how I just cut a chunk off, and then I've traced all the motifs that are on this pattern onto my soft fuse. There's still some space down here where there are no motifs. I'll save that piece for another project because it's big enough to fit something else on, and I'm not going to waste anything. So once I have everything traced, then I'm going to cut these all apart and fuse them on the wool. So when I'm looking at my pile of wool that was provided, I can tell which pieces go in which spots. This is going to be the background to my motif. And the reason I use SF101 Pellon product is because a lot of wool can be loosely woven. And when you cut it on the bias, it'll start raveling as you manipulate it. And also, as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of firm body to it. And so when I'm holding it to stitch a motif, it's going to get stretchy and ravel. So what I do to make that not happen is I place a piece of the SF101 on the back. What I've done here is I've taken a chunk off of my bolt, and the pattern shows to put it on the fold line and trace your background. So here is the size of my mat is right there. So I'm going to fuse that onto there. So even though the products don't require you to use steam, because I'm using wool, which is thicker, I steam the heck out of my stuff. I don't iron and stretch it, but I do steam it. So I have my SF101 piece, and I drew both lines just to kind of give me a guideline to how big the mat is. And I know that it is going to fit on, the inside line is going to fit on this piece. So I'm going to iron that with the steam on, just to kind of get it going there. And then I'm going to make sure that inside line is right inside of my wool piece. And then I'm going to just iron it with steam on. I have my iron set to cotton, which is number 7 on my iron. And then what I do is I turn it over and steam through the back side of the wool, making sure that the side of the SF101 that you put against the wool was the rough side, not the smooth side. You want the sticky side down. So I've cut out my piece. It has the SF101 Pellon product on the back, and as you can see, this is not stretchy, and it has a little more body to it, so it's going to hold up to me stitching on it and not get that bias edge all stretched out or start raveling. Now I have favorite scissors like everybody else does, and wool scissors have a little teeth to the blade, and that's how it cuts through the wool so well. My favorite ones by far are the Kai scissors. It's because they pretty much can do fine because they're sharp to the tip, and they're just good in my hand. They feel good, and I know that the Stitch and Post carries the Kai scissors. These scissors are an Olfa product, and they were my first wool scissors, and they are like gardening shears. They're big. They'll cut through any thickness of wool. They were a great scissor. The only issue I had with them is they have a more blunted tip, and so the Kais were better for that. And then I bought some other little scissors to try them out, but I keep going back to these Kai scissors, and I know the Stitching Post carries them at all sizes. So my next step is to look at my wool and figure out, according to the picture, which color goes to which motif. And you can see I rough cut these pieces out. I did not cut on my draw line because that is where I'm going to ultimately cut. But I didn't want to waste a lot of my wool because I save all the little scraps. Now I know that this big piece of wool is eventually going to be the background of this. So I'm going to set that aside for now because I will not need to do anything with that till my stitching is all done. So here's the rest of the wool. And I'm kind of stingy with my wool. I like to save all the little pieces that I can, so I try to get the motifs as close to the edge and fit as many as I can. And sometimes when I get a kit, there might be a piece I'm not real fond of, and I'll switch it out for something I have. But in this case, I'm going to use all the wool that was provided. Now I know this big piece is going to be the truck. So I'm going to set my truck on there, and I'm going to get it as close to one edge as I can. And I'm going to steam it. Now I have my iron set on cotton, and I'm just going to iron over that, ironing, making sure that the rough side is down against the wool and the smooth side is up on this soft fuse. Even though it looks like it's attached pretty well, I still go on the back side of my piece and I steam through the back side of the wool because I do not want that piece to come off of the motif in the background, so have the motif come off the background. So I'll just kind of leisurely iron. Of course, on a day that's 80 degrees outside, this is kind of a hot job. Feel like you're working in a laundry.